Hi artsy friends! Today I'd like to swatch all my acrylic gouache paints, and as a bonus I have a few just acrylic paints that I would like to swatch. Hopefully the labels have dried by now. So I'll be testing HOLBEIN gouache and a single tube of Turner gouache, acrylic gouache, and some Winsor & Newton ones. So can't wait to get into that. If you hear some noise in the background, it's just my cat eating food, obviously, when I'm about to record. I'm going to use this paper palette from HOLBEIN that I picked up in Japan. I never used it before, so that will be interesting. And if you're new here, my name is Kama, also known as Weird is the Best, and I do all kinds of swatching, art materials. I love art materials, anything mixed media, I'm all for it. So I like trying things out, and I take you along my journey as well. And yeah, I make mixed media art and comics, and I have an online shop and things like that. So yeah, you can check all of that in the description below. But let's get into the video. Sorry about the crunching in the background. So yeah, I picked this one up in Hokkaido on my trip in Japan earlier this year. I'm not quite sure why it's like this, but I assume I have to take this off because otherwise I'm not sure how I'm supposed to use it. It's very... okay, I've never used something like this before. It's very reflective and like shiny, so we'll see how that goes. I also prepared some water. And I'm going to use this brush. I'm precious with brushes, so I picked one that I'm not too worried about destroying. I'm always worried that acrylic gouache will, or acrylic paint will damage my brushes, which is why oops, this brush is on its last legs. Which is why I pick like the worst brushes to try it. Then I'm not, yeah. I also will be swatching in an unusual way, so you'll see that in a second. And I also grouped these colors into groups that I found aesthetically pleasing. They're not all like the best combinations because I only could group them in one way and I couldn't mix the same color twice in a group, in different groups. If that makes any sense, you'll see what I mean in a second. So I didn't go by numbers. I'm starting with like D100 and then D70 and then D39, whatever. I thought it would be more aesthetically pleasing. I also never used this. So this is an acrylic pad by Winsor & Newton. And it's 300 GSM, non-absorbent and acid-free. I can't remember where I got it. Probably Jackson's Art, I imagine, or a local art shop. And it's canvas textured for acrylic paints. So yeah, it will be interesting, especially as they show Galleria acrylic paints on here, so it should work really well with at least those, if not all of the paints I'm testing. So that should be really interesting. I've never used anything at all like this, so maybe all my paper that I used before with acrylic gouache was not right. I also have this paper towel. So I'm new to acrylic gouache. I've only used it a couple times before to make some artwork for my Patreon and for the rewards. And yeah, I can't wait to try it. I hope the light isn't too bad. I usually record in the evenings when it's really dark, so it's a nice change, I think. And I just moved it so that you can see everything not in the shadow, I guess. Okay, let's get started. So the first paint is this acrylic gouache in fluorescent pink, PW6 pigment, which is a white pigment. I don't get how you get a neon color or fluorescent color with a white pigment, but I don't really know that much about paints. And I'll try and not use too much paint because obviously it will dry and you can't re-wet it, so I won't be able to use it on anything. Yeah, let's get into it. I don't really know how much water I'm supposed to use. Excuse me, my cat just jumped on the table. Let me just sort him out. Okay, I'm back. So now you might hear him eat his wet food, but hey, he almost walked into this paint, but I think we're good. Okay, let's try this Turner acrylic gouache. It's a really nice, lovely fluorescent pink. It's a color that I always enjoy using for my art. And it's pretty cute. I would use this paint somewhere in my sketchbooks, but honestly, life's too short for right now. Okay. I'll try and save the rest of any of the paints in my sketchbooks as backgrounds. So here's the first swatch. Then we have light blue, which is this one. I hope this is the right amount, so we'll see. So this is what I meant by saying I'll make unusual swatches today. I don't know, I just felt like, you know, swatches are boring sometimes. Like, they're not boring, but they always look almost the same. So, because I can't make aesthetically pleasing swatches ever, I decided to try something different. Let me know what you think. Or maybe you have your own shapes that you use when you swatch. That would be interesting to know. I'm just removing cat hair. Okay, let's do the next one. I think I worked out the right amount of paint to use, and this one will be the third. I love these paints, like the colors just look so nice. So I swatched light blue D100 from HOLBEIN Acrylic Gouache. It's artist grade paint. You can see me unboxing these paints. I think most of these in one of my other videos, so I'll try and link that up for you in the description. I think I need a bit more. Also, the brush maybe is a bit too wet, so I'll try and use that a bit better with water. Okay. I hope the cat noises aren't too distracting in the background. This is very interesting. The colors come on not flat onto this stock, this like canvas thing. Maybe I do need a different brush. Maybe this one is a bit too bristly. But for the purpose of this swatching, I think it will be better if I stick to the same brush for the entire session. Okay, so that was leaf green D070. And now we have yellow. It's light yellow D032. Have you also been like convinced by the hype of these paints? Have you tried them before, or are you on the fence? I was in love as soon as I saw them, and then I bought some and didn't really use them much because I find acrylic paints overwhelming. Like, there's a bit of prep to do, like you need to have some kind of palette when you use them, and yeah, because of acrylic paint drying like permanent, I always worry about my brushes getting damaged over time, or like even after one use if I forget to clean it. So yeah, that's the reason I haven't really used them much, but I would love to get more into using them because they are really lovely. Like the selection of colors is really good. I'm sorry. And they kind of cover, like, you know, each layer of paint covers the previous layers really nicely. So you can correct mistakes and things like that much easier than like watercolor paint, which is activated with water once it's dry. I'm just going to do the next line of this. The cat's about to jump, so you'll hear him climb his cat tower. It's like a cat castle. He's got a massive tower. That's it, he's up. I don't know if you heard that. He's ready to sleep. To be honest, it's a lovely day. I can't blame him for like just chilling. Okay, so the next color is Blue Violet, the 114. And here's our new cat. Forgot to remove the water from the brush. This is a weird paper. It's not paper, I guess, but yeah. It's weird. I'm going to try and use it much drier. Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of people get hyped about these paints and then put out some videos that put them in, like, people record art supplies I regret ever buying. So I was curious if you tried, I'm curious if you tried them before and what you thought, or if you're not that convinced about them. I definitely loved using them, but I definitely need to be more comfortable with. You know, if I destroy a brush, it's only like, I don't even know how much this brush was, but it was probably like next to nothing. I used to buy really cheap brushes, like extremely cheap. So I shouldn't be that precious and just enjoy the art materials that I have. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm kind of using up excess paint, so to create this weird flower. Because why not? Okay. So this was Crimson, D001. I'm not quite sure what the D stands for in these paints, but they all have letter D in the name. And the next one is Pale Peach, D014. It's a very light color. I'm just going to try a different brush. I think maybe this one will be a little bit better, so let's see how that comes on. No, it must be this paper. I think it maybe is a little bit better, so I'm going to wash this one. Yeah, the thing with acrylic paint is that you need to wash your brushes immediately or the paint will dry in the brush and damage it forever. But I think I'll stick to this brush. Okay, and the next round, the next line of colors has 4 different shades in it. And is it this one? Yes. What do you think of this way of swatching? Do you find it helpful, or would you prefer similar colors to next to each other? Let me know down below in the comments. I kind of like when people make custom shapes for their swatches, to be honest. So I thought I'll give that a go myself. I just found some brushes from last time I used these. But I guess I've already started using this one, so I'll carry on. So the next color is Carmine, D002. And I suspect it will be kind of similar to Crimson. But we'll see how that works out. Oh, that's a lot of paint. But yeah, this brush is much better size. And the paint, yeah, okay. So don't judge these by how they look, how patchy they look, because that's just the brush I was using. So I learned something new today. The softer brush is much better for these paints. Maybe that brush is just not good for like regular painting. Maybe I just use it for textures. Okay, Carmine is pretty nice. Lovely color. So for a while I really wanted to get Rebecca Green's set of acrylic gouache paints, but they weren't available in the UK, so I couldn't get them. And then a few weeks before I went on my trip to Japan, they became available, but obviously everything in Japan is much cheaper, especially because Holbein is a Japanese brand. So I didn't get that set, but I picked a few colors from that set. I'll try and highlight them maybe later, or let me know if you would like to know which ones, or you can look it up as well. Okay. So that was Carmine. And the next one will be probably really hard to see, I imagine. It's Neutral Grey number 01. Yeah, it's pretty much the same color as this pad. What sort of, if you're using acrylic paints or acrylic gouache, what sort of paper do you find works best? I'm definitely going to do a few more tries of like different stocks paper. I think I tried like regular cartridge paper from Sea White of Brighton, or perhaps it was Odd Orange Art, which was mixed media stock. Yeah, it's not my favorite paper for this. Or maybe I'm doing something wrong. I got a bit of red muddied up with this grey, sadly. And the next one is Pale Lilac, and it's D121. Oh, okay, I kind of like how this comes on this stock. And sorry about the shadow, the sun is kind of behind the trees right now. Can't really do much about it. Okay, I'm going to do some expressionistic painting on the side, because I don't like wasting paint. So why not use it like that? And the next one is Deep Violet D112. It's a really deep violet, I have to say. I think my brush is wet by accident. So I think this wouldn't be so patchy if my brush was dry before I used it. A bit drier. Let's try it on the side here. It's a bit transparent. Definitely one of the most transparent ones so far in this swatching session. If you're a paint geek, they all have a lot of information about them. So like the permanency setting, which is I think light fastness. This particular one is 3 out of 4, is series A. There's also pigment information, PV23. I don't know if I should go through all of these details because that's quite a lot to go through on the video. But if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments. It doesn't actually say if it's a transparent or like opaque paint, so I'm not sure. I wish that was like on packaging, unless I'm missing. Sometimes it's like a tiny square somewhere, but I'm not seeing the square. Neither in this one. Okay, never mind, let's move on. And let's do next line. So these paints in the UK are a bit on the pricey side, especially compared to like acrylic paints in general. However, in Japan they're very affordable. So I grabbed I thought I was picking actual gouache paint, but I was picking acrylic gouache for the most part, but they were still very reasonably priced. I got this from, well, we'll be testing my new colors that I got in Japan here. But yeah, I got them from Sakaido shop. Which is a really competitively priced shop in Japan. Sadly, I'm not sure where else in the world, if anywhere, that shop exists. Yeah, if it was anywhere near me, I would be there every week. Really nice color. And the next one is sort of similar to Crimson, I think, and Carmine. Maybe not Carmine so much, but it's Rose D006. And this one was Orange Yellow D036. Just noticed I have some water on this. Oh, this is very transparent compared to the other paints. Just make sure I don't have any paint left in my brush. Okay, this one is disappointing, to be honest. Like, it doesn't feel high quality, but perhaps I don't know a lot about paints. Perhaps some pigments are more transparent than others, like naturally. I wonder if that's the case. But yeah, as a color, I'm not happy with it. These paints also mix very well, so if you combine a few colors, like a couple colors, they create really beautiful mixes, and I enjoyed using them this way. But their colors are also really lovely to use out of the tube. And out of the tube, if you don't know that term, it means that you don't add any other colors or too much water to them. It's just like as they come. This is Misty Blue D101, and I really enjoy this color. Sort of like a sky color, maybe? Like clouds? I don't know, I really like it. And the boiler came on. Hopefully you can't hear it, or it's not too loud at least. Okay, let's move on to the next line. I hope you're enjoying this kind of video. I do love people swatching things, so yeah. I tend to make videos that I enjoy watching, so I hope you like it too. And I hope it's helpful if you're maybe thinking of picking some, that you can actually see the colors, how they work on the page, and like the opacity and things like that. This is a lovely color. Oh my god, olive. I love this color. These are we started swatching the ones I picked up in Japan now. So they're all new to me. I've never used them before. Oh, and sub green. So here I went for kind of 3 colors of the same. Is it like hue? I don't know. There are very similar colors, and I went for a light, medium, and dark value. That's what I meant. And yeah, I hope they work nicely together. Kind of like a monochrome style. So the first one is Mustard D044. I like it. It's kind of like yellow, but then when you look at it next to yellow, it's much more green than the regular. Yeah, one of my favorites. So these two so far, or maybe Pale Lilac, which is kind of like my almost brand color by now. I love it so much. Interesting. This color went a long way on here. I couldn't like get rid of the pigment easily. Okay. Next one is Olive D065. It's a lovely earthy green. It's also on the transparent side. I definitely made the brush dry, didn't I? So perhaps some colors need a bit more than one layer. I don't know what's going on with this. This is very inconsistent. But I can kind of imagine painting nature with this, and in nature nothing's like flat color, so that might work really well in that context. But as a acrylic gouache paint, I'm not sure it passes. Let's add a bit more. Really nice color though. Yeah, I'm going to leave it because I'm overdoing it now. And the next one is Sub Green, which I think is like a much darker green. Sort of cooler, on the cooler side as well. And this one's nice and opaque. I did dry my brush. I keep forgetting whether I have or not. That's what I should be doing for all of these, I think. That looks quite nice as a comparison of the colors next to each other and how they interact with each other. Too late now, but I sort of did it, but in a mixed sort of way. I'll know for next time. Okay. What's next? Smart blue, which was my top #1 priority to get. I absolutely loved how this looked in the swatches from Rebecca Green, from her set. And then we have this one. Oh, that's weird. I don't think I used them before, but perhaps I did. Or it's the binder. It's definitely a bit strange that it has a different pigment in it. It does look like it's just on the end, so maybe I have mixed it somehow. I don't know, maybe I was testing them. Okay, the next one, Smart Blue D103. I can't wait to use it. I don't even care what I would be using it for, I just love it. Whether it's sky or just doodles, this color makes me happy. Lovely color. I'm sorry. For this next swatch, I will try and pick out just the main color. It's Pale Lavender D120. They look nice together, next to each other. Basically the same color, maybe with a bit of white. Again, one of my favorites. I reckon these two mixed together will give a really nice, like my favorite of all time, which I use like as my sketchbook covers and things like that. I love that color. I'll try and mix them in a minute when we've done all the other swatches. This is Rose Violet D119. I can already tell it's on the transparent side. I did hope that all of these will be more of a easy colors to work as block colors. So like non-transparent, I guess, more like this sort of thing, where once you put, you'd only need one layer to cover, to make it opaque. I'm not explaining it very well, but hopefully you understand what I mean. This isn't too bad. It's definitely easier than some of the others. It's, yeah, definitely transparent. I think reds tend to do that. Maybe they have the same kind of pigment. Oops. PR122. BV1. Okay, very different. So this is, I'm not sure what P stands for. R means red, and this one is violet. BV, blue violet. P, what's a P? Must be really obvious, but I'm missing it. Okay, next up we have a different brand. It's almost at the end. Is this Winsor & Newton Galleria Acrylic? It sounds like they're also artist quality. Some of the, so these actually have opacity details on the packaging, which I didn't know when I was buying them. I kind of didn't pay attention. They were very inexpensive, and we have an opaque, half opaque, or semi-opaque, or semi-transparent, and semi-transparent, and transparent, which is a shame because I thought that they were all going to be opaque, but that's fine. And I also have Mars Black, which I'll test at the end. This is quite old, so I don't know how it stood the test of time, but we'll see. So first is cadmium orange hue. This one's semi-transparent. And doesn't talk about light fastness. At least I don't know how to read this. So yeah, the price difference between these two brands is massive, especially given like how big this is. I could probably buy one of these for the price of one of these, if that. I'll check that later because I can't exactly remember. Okay. And the next one is this, which I imagine will be similar to the one here. The consistency is very different, but you'd expect different quality from something that's much cheaper, right? So I'm not too worried. Oh, that's a lovely shade. And this one's permanent. Not transparent, opaque. Okay. And black. I don't tend to use black anymore. I used to, so this was lovely, but I tend to use something like Payne's Grey or dark indigo for my blacks. Instead of blacks, they just look a bit nicer. And I don't know, in art and even on screens, like digital, like even in graphic design, black and white are rarely used really. People tend to look better. Dark colors tend to look better when they're slightly off black. This is very, for me this is fluorescent almost. But it's very close to the packaging as well. I wonder how these actually, I didn't compare them. But I might do that as a quick test because I think it's very useful to know whether the packaging reflects the colors that you get when you use the paint. Then you can rely on it without looking up swatches online. And the thing with looking at swatches on your screen is they will never be true to life because they are on the screen. So it will depend on how you calibrate how your screen is calibrated. Oops, I forgot that there's black coming, so I'll stop. Next, so this was cadmium orange hue. And I think hue means that it doesn't actually contain cadmium. And next is green gold. This is also semi-opaque, or semi-transparent. This is very watery, so maybe... Oh yeah, I didn't remove the water, did I? Okay, let's try again. Nope. It's just extremely transparent, that's fine. Maybe a nice background or like underpainting color. I haven't really done much underpaintings for my... I rarely paint, but when I do. Until I got some marker pens, acrylic marker pens, and I started using them as first as a background and then drawing on top of the background. And I really found that it changes a lot about the painting. So underpainting is when you lay a flat block of color as your first layer, and then you go over it with different colors, like with your actual artwork on top. And it can really change the mood of the entire picture. And I love when it shows through, like the bottom layer shows through in the layers above. Okay, the next one is powder blue, which, sorry, looked very similar to pale lavender to me. Not exactly the same, but it's also called a different name, so I wouldn't expect them to be the same. And it is a bit definitely on the opaque side, which is nice. I wonder if with acrylic painting you're meant to lay your transparent colors first, so they're less visible, it's less obvious that they are transparent, and then you can lay opaque colors on top, because they will cover everything. I wonder if that's the case. Really lovely blue. This one's definitely more on the violet side, but they are very similar. I hope you can hear the birds, it's actually nice to hear them. The sun is literally setting behind the tree, so apologies for the change in light. Here's Payne's Grey, and me not... I definitely did that, but... Payne's Grey, which is one of my favorites in watercolors. This one's a bit less opaque. It's semi-transparent. And actually, this one was completely transparent, which is why it was very hard to cover the paper. I don't enjoy using this, to be honest. I'm going to leave it because I think it's not meant to be opaque anyway. I remember where I got this pad from. I got it from Cas Art. And you can watch unboxing of that art haul here on YouTube, actually. So I'll link that for you as well, if I remember. Come on, son. We're almost there. And this is Mars Black. And this is opaque. So this should cover really nicely, although this paint is like probably 8 years old, if not more. So who knows how it lasted. It seems pretty fine, to be honest. If anything, I enjoyed this one the most out of all of these because it's nice and creamy and opaque. Yeah, definitely feels good to use this one. And I also said that I'll mix pale lilac and pale lavender to see what comes out. Probably should have done this before using Mars Black, which is very pigmented. But hopefully my brush will be clean for this. I had a feeling that this video was going to be quite short, but it's not, is it? I just realized you weren't seeing my last line of swatches, which I apologize for. I'll show you them closer in a minute anyway. But yeah, sorry about this. Hopefully you saw something. That's my bad. So pale lavender and pale lilac, which are very close to drying. Yeah, this one's pretty much dry. Yes, that's my favorite. And I always call it like lavender or lilac, which I guess is very accurate because it's got two of those in it. Yeah, I love this color. Maybe if I do this. Yeah, when mixing colors, especially when I have some color left on my palette, I tend to go overboard and I like mixing everything with everything until I get grays. That's just how I use it. And yeah, I guess I don't like wasting paint. Cool. Hope you like these swatches. And very quickly, we'll go through a few colors and compare them. So this is exactly the same, like 100% the same color. This is very close, although the actual paint is much more neon, which I think is really hard to reproduce in print, so I honestly can't blame this. What about olive? Very similar, especially where it's like fully covering. Slightly different maybe. Mustard. Very close. This is exactly the same. Sap green. What else could we check? Maybe this. Very similar. So I would say crimson, that's the one. I would say that Holbein packaging reflects colors very accurately. Maybe not 100%, like I imagine, yeah, this is a neon color and it's a bit different, but it's not that different, especially when it's like fully, if I added an extra layer, which I can do now, maybe. It will probably be exactly the same. Oops, this was rose violet, wasn't it? Yeah, that's my bad. I think this is almost dry. Might use it straight out of the tube, which it literally means often. Like this. Okay. And it's not dry, but I would say that it looks very similar. So yeah, I would say it's almost true to packaging, which is reassuring. And I do want to add one more layer to this green gold. So we can see it better, although it's extremely transparent. Okay, this acrylic gouache is a very different color on you. Actually, sorry, I just realized that what you see on camera is probably not what I see with my own eyes, because neon colors don't really show up as well on camera or on paper. It's a really hard color to photograph, or set of colors to photograph, or yeah, print. So yeah, but this is very different. If you compared the green, for example, from Holbein is pretty much the same. So I would say acrylic gouache by Turner, at least this one tube, is not reliable just by packaging. So you might want to look up some swatches before you buy it. And then Payne's Grey, I mean, it's in the same kind of tones and everything, but maybe it's not, the paint is not thick enough on the paper. Sorry about the noise, it's the stairs. So yeah, this is a lot closer. This is different. And powder blue this is much lighter than the actual color. Sorry about the noises. I think I'm good now. And orange is kind of the same. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. And it has turned out to be a little bit longer than I expected. Here are all the colors. Hopefully when my hand is in shot you can... Oh, okay. This in real life, like literally... Oops. I don't know how to describe it. It's very fluorescent. It's very hard to show you this on camera, but it's much, much more vibrant in real life. So this was the Turner acrylic gouache, and the rest on this page pretty much are Holbein acrylic gouache. And Winsor & Newton Galleria acrylic. So because you probably didn't see me swatching these properly, we have cadmium orange hue, green gold, powder blue, Payne's Grey, and Mars black. Ta-da! So I just, through the power of editing, the cats have faces now and character. I just used acrylic marker pens to go on top of the paint. And on this paper, the acrylic marker went really smoothly on the paint, so that was really a plus. I was just thinking, and if you leave me... we usually go for a secret emoji, which tells me who watched the video to the end, and it's like our secret. That only people who watch till the end know. And I think for today, I'm not 100% if I'll do it, but that might be my commitment. If you leave me an emoji of something you would like me to draw with these marker pens, so like an animal or an object, if you leave me that, I will see what I can do about that for maybe the next video or one of the future ones. At least I'll add it to my list. I'd love to see what you pick. I think it will be a great way to see what everyone enjoys and likes, and what emoji you pick. And thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. I love sharing my videos with you. Don't forget to leave me a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with your friends and leave a comment if you'd like. And yeah, I hope you liked it. And have a lovely day artsing. Until next time, bye! So now on your screen you will see a link to the next video in my playlist, where I'm swatching my art materials. So if you click through to that, you will be taken to continue the journey of finding out about art materials. See you there. Bye!